Morning, everybody. Welcome to Left of Center.
You always wake me up with that.
What am I supposed to do? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Left of Center. Is that better?
That's right. No, I like that.
It's like an NPR thing?
I liked it the first time.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Left of Center.
That's right. Good evening.
That's way better, right?
Welcome to NPR. It's
well,
fun.
We got a great guest this morning. I want to start off before we introduce Jonathan, who's going to be our next Attorney General in the state of Indiana. But I want to start off and say thank you very much to the Lake County Prosecutor, Bernard Carter, who was originally scheduled for today and cooperated with us by rescheduling because obviously the Attorney General nominee is in town and wanted to be in studio.
It's a much longer trip from Evansville than it is from Crown Point.
Right. But I called Prosecutor Carter, and Prosecutor Carter wants to see Jonathan win just as bad as we do, and he agreed that it was a better move to have Jonathan in here today, and Bernie's going to come back in 2 weeks, I believe.
The 16th, so two weeks from today.
So I wanted to start off and say thank you to Bernard Carter. Looking forward to his interview as well. But this is a gentleman I've known for a long time, Jonathan Weinzapfel. He has a great history. We're going to get into it. Interesting fact about Jonathan, Kevin, you know this. Jonathan and I were elected mayor at the same time.
Right.
So we've known each other for 20 years, you know.
Same thing. I mean, I remember when I met Jonathan for the first time, I think it was down in French Lick right after you guys were first elected. And that's a long time ago, man. That's we were all in our 30s. We're not in our 30s anymore.
We were all skinny then.
Yeah, much skinnier.
Well, I remember the day after the election of hearing about Tom McDermott getting elected mayor of Hammond, and we have these two young Democratic mayors, kind of the bookends within the state, right?
The North and South.
North and the South, and
I mean,
a lot of speculation about our futures, respective futures. So.
There was a friendly rivalry, I'm sure, when we first started.
No, not at all.
It was on my end, buddy. No, just kidding.
I mean, I thought you were going to say one thing in common is like we're both on Central Time.
I always thought he'd be a wonderful lieutenant governor.
I know. See, that's a funny thing.
And funny, he thought the same thing about you.
Jonathan's older than me, so I mean, naturally, I would go number 2 because you got to let the age go on the top of the ticket. So
age before beauty.
It is, but you are a couple years older than me, if I remember.
I'm 54.
Oh yeah, I'm 51. So you look great, though, man.
Wisdom, age.
Yeah, that's right. No, seriously, man. I mean, before we get into your background, you work out and stuff. I mean, is that an important part?
I try to. It's kind of tough in a campaign.
What do you do? Run?
Run. I've got a bike.
Nice.
Lift.
You cycle a lot?
Not enough.
Really? I love cycling.
Like Tom doesn't run enough, but he loves cycling.
Yeah, I started running. I ran the other day because I'm doing an indoor workout now. I cannot walk yesterday. It was so ridiculous. But you use
those muscles in a while.
Seriously though, Jonathan, I'm not hitting on you or anything, but you look good, man. You're for 54, you're skinny and you're in good shape. You can
smoke and mirrors.
Nice.
Yeah,
it looks good. Keep it going for 2 more months, and you can let yourself go. Okay,
that's
or
right.
1 more month. Really.
Well, let's real quick intro the show, do some sponsors, and get back to Jonathan. So I just want to welcome everybody to the Left and Center podcast. Of course, you can watch us live on Facebook, like so many are right now. Also, go to Twitter and follow us at LOC Pod, LockPod, or you can go to YouTube and watch our episodes by searching for Left of Center. You can also subscribe to us on Apple Podcast and now on Spotify. Thanks to John Vesmar. Thanks, John. And just search for Left of Center Show or Left of Center Podcast, and you can watch and follow us whenever you want and listen to us while you're running or biking or what was the other thing you guys do? Oh, something exciting to work out.
I think
lifting.
You said in the shower last time.
I did say. Well, I said in the shower a couple. You can listen to us in the shower if you want, but not really a great place to listen to Tom and me.
Kevin was talking a couple weeks ago about how he used to use his posters when he was a kid. It was disgusting.
Oh, God.
We don't want to go there. Yeah. We've been there too many times now.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into our sponsors, and then we'll start digging into Jonathan's background.
Let's do it.
Talking about some issues here. Thanks to our sponsors. Start off with Attorney Alfredo Estrada at Burke, Costanza, and Carberry. With locations in Maryville and Chicago, Alfredo is one of the most experienced lawyers in the area of immigration and civil litigation. He is also available at the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic to help with DACA immigration issues. Call Alfredo at 219-769-1313. Adelante con Alfredo.
Joey Lax Salinas Photography. Are you looking for a unique and original piece of art for your home or office? Joey has been photographing the region for more than 15 years and has the largest collection of Northwest Indiana photos available to the public. He's also a licensed photographer for Indiana University and has over 500 photos of the beautiful Bloomington campus. His photos are available for purchase as prints, framed fine art photos, and can be licensed for commercial use. Find his photos at southshorephotos.com and his IU photos at campuspictures.com. You can also follow him on Instagram at Joey Lax Salinas or like his Facebook page. That's Joey LAX Salinas Photography.
Bob's Plastering and Painting. Bob's Plastering and Painting provides professional, affordable, and reliable plastering and painting services with over 30 years of experience. We are licensed, bonded, and insured. Call today to schedule a free estimate at 219-616-6609. That's 219-616-6609. Check out before and after pictures at www.bobsplasteringandpainting.com.
And finally, Clerk Adrian Santos. The committee to elect Adrian Santos supports the longtime East Chicago City Clerk and is asking for your support. Clerk Santos has years of service to his community and is an elected official that is trustworthy and effective. He's been a loyal public servant for nearly 17 years and asks that you consider continuing to support him in the future. This commercial has been paid for by the committee to elect Adrian Santos.
Nice. So, again, thank you to our sponsors. And to remind everybody out there, you could download us on Spotify. You could download us on Apple Podcasts. You could subscribe on Facebook. Obviously, and YouTube as well. Thanks.
That's right. And if you want to be a sponsor, just direct message Lindsay. She'll be happy to get your info and get you on here.
Awesome. We miss Lindsay today. She couldn't be here today, but we got great guests, and we're looking forward to this show a lot. So thank you again, Jonathan, for coming by.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, Appreciate you accommodating me.
Yeah.
And Bernie Carter's fantastic.
Yes, he is.
Great guy. He very supported my campaign from day one, and
he's
appreciate him willing to step aside at least for a couple of weeks.
Want to hear a secret about Bernie?
Sure.
He's an amazing public speaker. Seriously, if you ever have,
everyone need an intro.
Oh man,
Bernie good.
When I was running for Congress, he gave one of the best opening speeches. It obviously didn't work out very well, but the speech was great.
Well, it started off well.
It did. It was a great speech. It
was a good day.
No, but Bernie's outstanding. He's been Lake County prosecutor. I've been practicing law for 20 years. He's been Lake County prosecutor my whole career. Right? I mean,
absolutely.
So he's obviously doing something. Right?
Before we were.
Has he been your whole career? Because you started practicing.
Right. He came in, I think, in 92 or 93, and I was licensed in 94. So, yeah, it's pretty much.
Crazy.
I don't know any other prosecutor.
Wow.
Except Bernie. He's been unopposed, I think, last 4 times.
That's the best way to run.
He's the standard bearer in the region. But we're looking forward to his show in a couple weeks. And in the meantime, let's get into some Jonathan Weinzapfel. I know a lot about this, Jonathan. I hope you don't mind. A lot of people are learning a lot about you right now. But
sure.
You were born in southern Indiana, right?
Right.
What, Evansville?
Well, I actually in Posey County.
Okay.
Grew up on a farm in a little town called St. Philip.
I've never been there.
You probably haven't. There's a Weinzapfel's Tavern, for what
kidding.
it's worth. Oh, yeah.
Your family's huge in southern Indiana, right?
There are a lot of us. They know how to spell Weinzapfel.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
I know that's part of the challenge of running statewide is making sure people understand how to spell it.
WEINZPFEL.
No,
APFEL. Did I get it? APFEL?
I was just bragging. I knew how to spell it, too.
Yeah.
WEINZAPFEL.
Okay.
Got it.
So easy. It just rolls up.
Rolls up your tongue.
That's right.
Up here in.
Well, I would think it would fit right into the region.
You're right, though.
Yeah.
Part of
you get the harder, the more Z's and things like that.
The Z caucus needs to stick together, right?
And I remember you've always used an apple as, which is goes into the last name, obviously. And plus, it gets the teacher vote.
Well, I hope so. Think of Jonathan's, so Jonathan Apples.
There you go.
Nice.
Weinzapfel.
Wow, look at this.
Apfel is German for apple.
This is all making sense.
Now you can't get it out of your mind. It's imprinted right there in your brain.
It better be in the voters' mind, too. You want an apple now?
I imagine
hungry.
You're going to do well with teachers for a lot of reasons. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I know,
ISTA has been very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
And AFT has also been very supportive.
And I imagine your background in education, which we're going to get into eventually, is not going to hurt you at all when it comes to teachers.
I have a younger brother and sister who are both ISTA members who are teachers. My parents were both trained as teachers. And, of course, through my work as chancellor at Ivy Tech Community College, the Evansville campus, I interacted daily with our local school districts and trying to work collaboratively and making sure that kids have opportunities to succeed. So. Nice. I think it's a great perspective to bring to the Attorney General's office, but also important for public education.
Right. So did you go – now you said when did you move to Evansville then? You grew up on a farm?
My dad taught at Evansville Memorial, and he was actually my football and wrestling coach. So he taught there for 35 years. It's probably about a half-hour drive at that time. He brought all the kids along with him, one of 6 kids, and would bring us into school every day with him.
Wow.
And,
so you literally grew up on the farm and you drove to school.
Right. And in the elementary school I went to is St. Philip Elementary. So that was right there in the community. And then high school in the city of Evansville.
Wow, that's great. It's a great background. So you mentioned you wrestled and you played football?
Wrestled and played football. I'm
trying to picture your position. I'm going to go with linebacker.
I'm going with
because I'm picturing him as a big kid.
Cornerback.
No.
Not fast
Quarterback?
No. I played fullback and
Fullback.
Defensive end, outside linebacker, depending upon the
See, I
defense.
pictured you as a big kid.
Yeah.
Like you were big. I mean, you and I are about the same size now, but I was scrawny when I was in high school. So you were a bigger student.
I'm about 165, 170
big.
pounds maybe.
You know what I wrestled my freshman year? 107. Dude, my leg weighs more than 107 right now.
You were a twig.
I was small. Yeah, I was a really good baseball player when I was a kid, but I was just so small. It was just like
107.
if I doubled down and hit it hard, I'd hit it over the second baseman's head. Yeah, 107. I wrestled 140 my senior year. So
I was 155.
nice. See, I caught up to you eventually,
Yeah.
and then I joined the Navy and started eating regularly. So yeah.
Well, you were starved as a kid?
I was starved as a kid. Yeah. Well, I was starved as a wrestler. Like my first year,
true.
I was 120 when I got into freshman year, and they made me wrestle 107s. Wow. And I was like, "Hey, I'm varsity," and then you realize, yeah, I'm the guy.
That's a lot of weight to cut.
Yeah, 13 pounds for 120. Oh. Yeah, that was no
As a
fun.
14-year-old?
I just remember being hungry a lot. So
one of the things I was when I was going through your history, Jonathan, you were a chem major in undergrad. I was like,
I'm really using that degree now, aren't
I was
I?
like, man, that is rough. I mean, that's not an easy subject.
Wow.
Chemistry.
I had no idea.
It was a BA in chemistry with the outside field of business administration. So it was it was probably a semester away from also having a business degree.
Wow, that's crazy. Chemistry, though, that's a lot of work.
You went to Wabash, though, right?
No, Bloomington. I went to IU.
Okay,
and so
for undergrad.
and actually my first job, the way it made sense, was in pharmaceutical sales.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
That was your first job?
that was my first job. I was,
nice.
I was based in St. Louis, and it was a challenging job. I didn't care for it that much,
Right.
and so it really kind of forced me to think about, well, what do you want to do with your life, right? And I had taken an interest in politics and government.
Was
so
your
I
family
left
active
that.
in politics?
No, not really. Well,
Really?
my mother was.
Okay.
My mother, she would take me to League of Women Voters meetings as kids, because my dad was either coaching, farming, or working, doing something. And so, when she was responsible for the kids, and she was pretty active, and, would take all of us to, a lot of the events that she went to. And she professionally, she was executive director of CASA in Evansville.
Nice.
And then 20 years as
That's a domestic violence shelter? Or is that
well, it's court-appointed special
Oh, yeah,
advocates. yes.
yeah. My bad, yeah.
And then
yeah.
and then she was executive director of the YWCA, where they ran transitional housing for women, battered women's shelter, that type of thing. So, really, and I'm one of 6 kids. I have 3 sisters, so I learned to respect women from day one, right?
Absolutely.
Right, that's ingrained in you.
Yeah. So I was always under the impression the Weinzapfel family was a real political family. That's not true.
No, and in fact, after I
Because it's a huge family. I've seen pictures of your family. It's
right,
just
I ran for Congress in '96 and then lost that race. Thank God.
Right.
It's okay. Tom,
I know.
believe me.
We've had this conversation off camera, but I agree. It could be a blessing.
But it led to there was a vacancy in the legislature, so I was able to step right into that. Actually, after the '98 election.
So that was a caucus then?
Yes, that was caucus then.
Were you the first person in your family elected?
Yes,
to office?
but what's interesting is my dad ended up running. I always thought he was apolitical.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great politician. I mean, he and what I've learned from him, I mean, he treats people with respect, and he gets along with everybody. He's got a great sense of humor. He was dean of students at Memorial High School for a while, and his football coach. I mean, he's this kind of larger than life personality. But he, in fact, I always thought he was a Republican. And I guess he watched me go through the political process, and he thought, you know what, I want to do that.
He ran after you
Yes,
ran.
yes.
Funny.
Your dad got into politics and ran for
served,
office.
He's a
after you
conservative Democrat, I imagine, right?
Yeah, he pretty
Yeah,
moderate. I mean,
that's what I'm
about
saying.
like me, yeah.
We used
Pretty
to
moderate
win.
guy.
We used to win down south as
Yeah,
a party.
right. We used to win
and
on the
I
Ohio
imagine there was
River.
people like your father that was, I imagine he's still voting for us, but at one time, the 9th district, which is where you're from, right? The 9th
8th district,
8th
yeah.
district, but still, like that whole area down there, we would win. John
Well, we
Gray
had when I was in the legislature, we were always in the majority.
Yeah, I was
5
just
years
going to
I
bring
was
that
there,
up. You
and
were
that's-
chairman of your committees.
Right. And
crazy.
John Gregg was speaker, and I think we had just about every state rep seat south of Indianapolis.
Right.
But it's just there's just been a complete transformation.
Well,
over the last,
gerrymandering doesn't help.
there's that, but there's also, I mean, I would suggest, I mean, in southern Indiana, it's kind of Southern Democrats, right? And pretty moderate, even conservative, and as what I would call kind of a vertical alignment of our politics, right? Where especially with cable news and Rush Limbaugh, I mean, people started identifying. These are folks that were supporting Democrats for the legislature, but voting for Republican for president, and they really started to identify from the top all the way down. And that, and especially when there was a landslide in, I guess, 94, and then, of course, and then 2010, it just wiped out all the Democrats. And
it's become very red down there. It's just amazing.
Yeah, you and I were both in City Hall. I mean, you were in City Hall still when that happened, safely in City Hall. I remember being in 2010, and
it was
we were
like just shaking your head, like,
oh,
whoa.
I know, that was a rough year. And
well, I think Democrats stayed at home, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was the year. Remember, that's the year Senator By stepped down, and we were like leaderless as a party.
Well, and that had a huge impact in
statewide.
In southwestern Indiana, because as you remember, Brad Ellsworth was congressman.
That's right.
He ends up, and all of a sudden he runs for U.S. Senate.
Right. Like last second though, like got drafted. He had to give up his congressional spot.
I remember Evan announced in February. So you figure that primary is in May, right?
Right.
And he had to make a decision
He had to drop his congressional seat and then run because he was going to cruise to re-election in the 8th. And instead he gives it up and runs. And then we had Trent Van Haften
ran up for Congress.
Seat. Like
he
dominoes.
Gave up his seat. Yeah, and then there was a state senator who ran to fill
but what ended up
Trent's
happening,
seat, and he lost.
And then all three of those guys lost.
Right.
And we lost three
that's a lot of bench to give up.
We gave up 3 stars because of one move, and I'm not blaming anybody, but like that was, I mean, like Kevin said, it happened in February. We had 3 months to get ready, so we take 3 of our stars, young stars at the time. You and I are safely in City Hall at this point, but they take 3 of our rising stars. Brad Ellsworth, who's already a congressman, Trent Van Haften, who's an amazing. He ran for judge. I'm not sure if he was successful, but
he was not.
But so they take these guys, and then the state senator you mentioned, and all 3 of them get flamed out. And to it, I'm not sure about the state senator, but Brad's not in politics either.
That was his last. I think that was Brad's last race. He went into utilities, right?
He's working at Vectren or with Centerpoint now.
That's right. That's right. Hey, he's a great guy.
I'm convinced he'd have been reelected.
Oh yeah,
to Congress. Joe Donnelly was.
There you go.
Right, that same year.
Joe barely won.
And I think Brad, I think the 8th district at that point was probably better than the 2nd.
I bet that's right because they just redistricted it.
And if he had focused solely on his reelection, I think it'd been okay.
He was a great candidate. In fact,
Brad's a good guy.
I still have hanging up in my house. I still have a Brad Ellsworth for U.S. Senate.
Yeah, you do. You have because he had that brown because he was sheriff too, right? Yeah. Right. So and was he sheriff down your way? Was he Vandenberg County? Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep. But he'd be a good guest one day. I love Brad Ellsworth.
Yeah, Brad would be good. Good. Just like John Gregg would be good.
Did you do well in high school? I imagine you did.
With what?
Schoolwork. With the grades, and you got accepted to IU Bloomington.
Yeah, I did okay. I got by.
Yeah, I did well in college. I didn't do well in high school. But okay, so and then when you're in college, you're studying chemistry. Right. You had no idea that you were going to go into politics.
Well, I had no idea what I was going to do.
Right.
I mean, it seemed
you're going to be a chemist, like pouring beakers.
No,
and stuff like that.
No, I had no interest.
No lab work.
I could see Jonathan sitting there with beakers, like dumping them back and forth.
No, you got to have some pretty thick glasses in order to do that work.
I hang out by yourself.
I had no idea what I wanted to do.
So you're going to be a professor, I imagine. Right?
I had no idea.
I saw something about Georgetown Masters. Is that right?
Well, so after working in pharmaceutical sales, moved to D.C., worked for former Congressman Frank McCluskey. If you remember him.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
And then while I was there, went to night school at Georgetown during my master's.
Nice.
So
what were you doing for Frank?
Just a legislative assistant.
Nice. So you were obviously thinking about politics at this point, or
right? Absolutely. And then actually came back and worked on his 1992 reelection campaign. And so, he loses in '94, and I'm a punk kid, right? The age of 30 or so, and I thought, it was a complete sweep, right, in '94. And so
Contract with America, right?
Yeah. And
Newt Gingrich.
And so there's an open seat, and it's kind of like, why not? Why not run? And there were 6 of us in this primary, 6 Democrats in this primary, and it really came down to a race between 2 of us. Rick McConnell, I don't know if you remember that name, was a state rep from Gibson and Knox counties.
Okay.
And really was endorsed by state party.
Sure, he's a sitting state rep.
So I'm this.
Was it an active endorsement or was it just understood?
It was understood.
Understood.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Right. Because state party would never endorse in a primary.
That's right. So there were 13 counties. I only won 4, but it was Bloomington, Posey, Vandenberg, and Warwick, all right down there.
In the river.
And the key to it was the Shelburne clerk treasurer, Jay Southwood.
This is going to be a good story. I already like it.
So he was one of the 6 Democrats running, and he had absolutely no chance. But I mean, I think Rick McConnell and myself both figured he's going to win Sullivan County, right? Hometown boy,
Sure.
the name that they know.
Yeah.
And so the week before the filing deadline, or the deadline by which you can withdraw your candidacy, I'm calling him every night saying, Jay, you need to stay in this race. You have an important position, important perspective to add. You don't let state party kick you out of it.
And you're like in your 20s when you're doing all this.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was 30 at the time, and so Rick McConnell's calling him every night saying, for the
Get
good
out
of
of
the
the
party,
race.
you
Get
need
out
to
of
get
the
out. And frankly, in the end, he ended up winning Sullivan County. And I would have suspected if he wasn't in the race, Rick McConnell would have won that county like he won the other rural counties, almost by a 2-to-1 margin, and he would have won the primary.
Wow. It was a close primary. Right?
We won by, I think we figured it was 800 votes or so.
No kidding.
When did you go to law school? I'm trying to piece this all together then.
So
you went to McKinney, right, in Indianapolis?
Right. So I lost that race for Congress, and I get married 2 months later, and all of a sudden, kind of feel, okay, now what do I do with
Patricia,
my life?
you've been married since
December of '96.
Nice. Congratulations.
No, thank you.
That's a great
Thank you.
marriage. She's a great lady.
35.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Jonathan definitely married up, no doubt about it.
No doubt.
I know she's listening right now. So
I'm sure she isn't.
she'll listen on Apple Podcasts.
She subscribes.
How many kids you got, Jonathan?
3.
3.
All 3 are in college.
Nice. Yeah, I met your son. I forgot his name. We went out to breakfast about a month ago.
Oh, Benjamin.
Benji. Yeah, he was driving you around.
Yeah.
Yeah, great guy. I was asking him if he was going to get into politics. He seemed interested.
All 3 of my kids are interested in politics. I mean,
Really?
Yeah. Well,
Even after seeing what you went through as mayor? Because my kids have the opposite.
Well, they were pretty young. Mm-hmm. I mean, through. I guess the oldest was born in '99, and twins that are born in 2001. So, they were pretty young. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not sure how much they actually saw of it.
I guess
so your kids were. I mean, so
no,
you're still mayor, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So as they've gotten older, they pay attention and they read the newspaper and they actually hear what people say about you.
And the advent of social media, and so they see
Absolutely.
all the bad
That
stuff.
makes a big difference.
People like to troll you and say all this other crap, and so you got that going too. So,
Right.
And they get to see that.
So did you go to, let me ask you a question. Did you go to law school in nighttime while you were a state rep? I'm trying to piece this together because I know you went to McKinney.
So got married December of '96, started work in the Obama administration, full-time position first at IDEM and then at the Department of Labor. I was a deputy commissioner there and started law school in the evening program. So it would have been fall of '97.
You and I have crazy similarities in our story. I started in '97 law school also. Okay. Yeah.
And then in '98, when there's the vacancy occurs, I get caucused in, sworn in January of '99. And then obviously I couldn't work for the state, and so I was working basically in the legislature and then full-time student.
Wow.
I end up.
That's a lot of
You graduated
work.
in '99 from law school, you said?
In 2000.
2000.
Yeah. So I end up taking 44 credit hours my last fall, spring, and summer.
That sounds like a blast.
Holy.
well, I had to, so I'm up in Indianapolis.
15
and so
in the
I
summer.
had to get home.
Yeah.
I had to, pass a bar, start a job, go home, run for re-election in 2000.
Got a young family.
And we have our.
You took the bar in
oldest.
2000?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in the same one. That's when Marissa and I took it.
And
also.
you both, all three.
We were
you
probably
passed.
in the same room.
Probably. You were I was sitting next to Marissa, funny enough, because she had the same last name as me. We got married literally as law school ended. And I didn't realize.
Was it at the Scottish Rite?
That's where I took
no.
it. You guys took it at the convention center, I bet.
That's where we got sworn in.
I took
We
the
took it
bar
at
in
the
that
convention
basement.
I think it was the convention
It
center.
was convention
right.
center, but
Right.
we got sworn in at the college, right? If I remember, or
The Scottish Rite.
wasn't it?
I don't know.
I took the bar at the Scottish Rite, and it was a dank,
We were in the
that
convention
place,
center.
dank basement, dark. And you're like, oh man, 2 days of this, and then I got sworn in there too.
My son Chase just passed the bar.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
thank you. I appreciate it. It's
yeah,
really cool.
that's neat.
actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, but his bar exam was unlike. It was open book. It was crazy. And so Chase tells me the story
Online.
after online open book, okay? And which is like a law school exam really, right? But Chase says he's doing one section and his Wi-Fi scrammed out and it erased like 3 of his answers and he only had like 15 minutes to get them
That
in.
would stress me out.
He didn't tell me that until he found out he passed. 'Cause I would have had a damn heart attack if he told me that. But he said, thankfully it was all written on paper and he just had to type it all back in.
Right.
But he's like, I was having a
But
nervous
why wouldn't it be
breakdown.
open? I mean, no attorney
I agree.
operates with their eyes closed.
Why didn't
right?
let us do that then? I would have liked it to be open book.
Well, I mean, you didn't
Back
have to deal
then,
with the pandemic, buddy.
That's true.
But you either know your stuff. I mean, you can't walk in there and just all of a sudden you try to,
totally.
I got to find out
Exactly.
how, what constitutes a contract, right?
Right.
I mean, you either know it and
Like if you're relying on your notebook, like in any law school
Agreed.
exam, you go into law school exams, and if you have to rely on your notebook, you're going to get smoked.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah, you have to know it. Right.
Got to know it.
Yeah.
So, well, congrats for that. I know Chase is already working. He's got a job. You got him out of the nest.
Yeah.
He's got his own money now.
off the roll.
He's off the roll. He's off the roll. It's nice.
Officially.
Yeah. This isn't about me. This is about Jonathan.
That's
Yeah.
right. I'm sorry.
Speaking of Jonathan, the love is pouring in for him on the comments.
A lot of love.
Outstanding.
Yeah. A lot of love.
Rick Long says hello.
Rick Long is a great guy.
Oh, hi, Rick.
Lake Station councilman.
Yes,
He's
yes.
a superstar.
He was very supportive in the
Yeah.
through the convention and all
He's
that.
a,
So.
he's a stud.
Yeah.
Like there's certain people like when they hitch their wagon, they're like solidly on board. Rick Long's definitely one of them. He's a stud.
He'll get
Like,
your signs out.
By the
Lake
way,
Station.
the mayor of Lake Station. While we're talking about Lake Station, Bill,
Yeah,
stud,
good.
big time. Like reach out. Like we're gonna put him on this show also because he's got a really good story. But he's a great guy too. I mean, there's so many people in Northwest Indiana, as you know. Jonathan's been up here.
This is not his first rodeo
No,
for sure.
No, I'm saying
yeah.
just since his campaign began, 20 times.
I've
I've
seen
seen
him.
him so many times, and that's the thing. I have not seen your opponent, who's from Lake County. I haven't seen him once. I think Kevin mentioned he was here a few weeks ago, but like,
Yeah, Trump rally somewhere down south.
right. But I haven't seen
Southern
I haven't
County.
seen Mr. Rikita one time myself. And I
My
monitor-
sense is he's taking it for granted.
Lake
I mean,
County. He's taking the region for
Well,
granted.
frankly, this entire election.
Really?
I mean, he obviously he believes Trump's going to win, Holcomb's going to win, and he'll just slip right in without really having to campaign or articulate positions of what he wants to do if he's elected Attorney General.
Well, one of the things,
I think in this year, I think it's a huge mistake.
I do too.
I mean, just we found out early this morning, that the president's tested positive for coronavirus,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows what's going to transpire over the next 4 weeks?
Agreed.
And we're out there talking every single day about what we can do as Attorney General to help Hoosiers, help Hoosier families deal with this coronavirus and this crisis that we're in. And I hopefully it's going to carry through, and people are looking for leadership, I think.
Even something as simple as wearing a mask has become politicized, which is beyond ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, you actually came out and I know Curtis Hill was and the governor were arguing about something, and you came out a couple months ago and you were saying
About the mask
mandate.
Well, so the governor announces a mask mandate statewide. Curtis Hill issues an advisory opinion saying he doesn't have the legal authority to do it.
Even though what the governor's trying to do is the right thing to do.
For public health.
Well, but he and my argument was he clearly has a legal authority to do it under the public health emergency statute.
Yeah.
Any violation of an order there is a misdemeanor. But Rokita, he couldn't take a position on it. He simply said, well, let's have the legislature figure this out.
when they get to do this
Call
next
him into
January.
session.
Exactly. And so, and this is, it's funny. And people ask me, well, how are you going to, if Holcomb's reelected, how are you going to work with him? I use this as the example. Well, look, I'm the only one who stood up and said, well, one, it's the right policy. If we want kids to be going back to school and do so safely, right? I mean, that was, 2 months ago, that was what, the forefront of everybody's mind, right? Mm-hmm. And he clearly has a legal authority.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
and then you got Todd Rokita that just wouldn't take a stand. Didn't want to get in it maybe for his own party, didn't want to cross the governor, didn't want to do anything.
Right.
Just kind of sat there. So, well, it's probably a good time for a break, Mayor. Let's do our rest of our sponsors. And we're going to come back. This is just the beginning of what we're going to talk about with the next Attorney General of the state of Indiana, Jonathan Weinzapfel.
All right. Ron Prestemmer Insurance Agency. The Ron J. Prestemmer Insurance Agency has been located for decades right on Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond, serving all of your insurance needs. They specialize in a wide variety of insurance projects and services, including business insurance and much more. The Prestemmer Agency serves over 1,000 people and businesses all around the Chicagoland and the Midwest. Call Ron at 219-844-0103.
Your Lake County Auditor, John Patalis, wants to say good morning. The Lake County Auditor's Office strives to serve the residents and taxpayers of Lake County in multiple ways, including maintaining a working relationship with all Lake County taxing entities and to promote public service. John Patalis, your Lake County Auditor.
Miss Printing. With both Munster and Hammond locations, Rick Baltensberger and his team are there for absolutely all of your printing needs. He's responsive, fast, and good. Banners and signs of all sizes, from wrapping cards to business cards. No job is too big or too small. Call Rick or Teresa at 219-836-2517.
And this is a new sponsor and somebody that I know you're going to see next week, Mayor. Committee to elect Mike Andrade. Mike's running to be your next state representative for District 12. Everyone's invited to come support Mike Andrade at his fundraiser this Monday from 5 to 8 p.m. at Riviera Maya Restaurant in Highland. Joining Mike Andrade will be a special guest, Mayor Thomas M. McDermott Jr.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah.
Special guest.
I am.
I saw you on the ticket.
Yeah. They said I have a special announcement to make. And everybody's like, what's the special announcement? I'm like, I have no idea what
This is going to be exciting.
Actually, I'm coming out that day.
Okay, well, you never know for whatever you're going to run for next.
I figured that fundraiser is an appropriate time to do it. So,
it's going to be exciting.
I know. I know what the special announcement is. It's, first off, I think the world of Mike Andrade. I think he's going to be a great.
Well, you can't announce it.
No,
Don't
no.
announce
I mean,
the
you have to
special
wait.
announcement.
I mean,
I
That's
figured
right.
it out.
We
but,
want people there donating money.
It's true. Never mind.
All right,
You'll
that's
find
right.
out
Come
what the
away
special
from. Don't
announcement
give away.
is. By the way, have you met
Jonathan? Thank
Yeah.
you for keeping him from announcing the special announcement.
I know, right?
I'll be here next Friday too, just to
Just
make
to
sure
hold
I
him
can.
back.
I found my role.
I am the worst with secrets.
We all know
Don't give
that.
me a secret. Yeah.
There are many things we don't tell the mayor.
Like when I
at
buy
City Hall.
a nice Christmas present, I just usually just give it away right before
That
Christmas.
is
I'm like,
very
here, just
true.
take your present. I love it.
That's
So
true.
Kevin, is it kind of a need to know basis?
That's it. Well, yeah, because the only thing I will say this with one caveat: you don't want to have him find out something that you were supposed
That's
to
the
tell
worst.
us.
Yeah,
that
that's
he's
the
like,
worst.
why didn't I know?
That's the worst.
You do not want to be in that
Yeah,
position.
my staff has the general understanding is I don't ever want to read about something and learn about it in the newspaper. If I read about
Absolutely.
something going on, like that's when it's like, hey,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
And you have great folks. I stopped by
do,
your
yeah.
office
I know you did.
maybe a month
I know you
ago.
did. They love
They were wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know what?
They didn't know me from Adam.
No,
and
man.
They're very
no,
kind.
because Jonathan said, hey, I was going to swing through City Hall and I had something going that day. And I was like, just do it. Stop by. And he went through and went and talked to it. By the way, you also, this is stuff that people don't realize about Jonathan is he goes through the courthouses and just walks through and talks to judges and stuff, which
That's
is
important.
so smart. Like, that's so
Gotta
smart.
see your people.
He's going to be practicing in front of these judges if he,
Well,
when he
his whole
becomes
staff
attorney.
will be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The
So,
Attorney
like,
General's-
why wouldn't you want to do that? This is stuff I've never seen before, Jonathan. I think it's really smart. And I know you're doing that. It's not just a Lake County thing. You're doing it all over the state. And
Absolutely.
I think that's really smart.
I don't want to forget to finish up on Mike's thing. For event details and tickets, please visit Andrade2020.com/Maya! This message has been paid for and authorized by Citizens for Mike Andrade. Go see him at Riviera Maya Monday night and see
By
him
the
there
way,
too.
that Riviera Maya,
Good stuff.
oh man. It used to be the Bullpen Bar on Indianapolis
Which
Boulevard.
was another one of your
And they
favorite
converted
places.
over. The thing about the region that's awesome is if you love Mexican food, we have so many amazing choices up here. And Riviera Maya is definitely one of them.
I think you're telling Riviera Maya they better sponsor our
They better
podcast.
sponsor our show. Like, I eat at a lot of restaurants, and there's only been a couple that sponsored so far. So.
They could get this attention every Friday.
Yeah,
Every
right?
Friday.
Oh, man,
Every Friday.
I would actually eat their chips here if they did it the right way.
Oh,
so.
we all know about you and chips.
Maybe they could cater breakfast.
They should.
Oh,
that would
yes.
be a great idea.
Huevos rancheros for everybody.
I'm down with that.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back into it.
So, interesting fact about Jonathan when he was a state rep. I know this just through the grapevine. And
Yeah.
John Gregg, who everybody knows and loves, he was our candidate for governor twice.
Twice. 16 and 12, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Jonathan, were you a roommate with John Gregg for a couple
Do you
of
want to
years?
admit that?
3 years. Yeah.
Really? So you guys roomed together when you were in the state house?
It was John, myself, and Bill Cochran.
Okay.
From New Albany.
Yeah, right.
Oh God, we had fun.
I bet.
So, hold it,
And
you
he's
were-
Speaker of the House then?
Yeah.
And you're a junior, you're a freshman legislator.
Well, actually, it was my second
3
term.
years, okay.
Yeah, my last 3 years.
Really
So,
fun, huh?
oh yeah. I mean, the things I've heard
So-
and seen, I can't repeat.
So you've seen John Gregg in his underwear.
Yeah, that's-
Obviously.
Don't go there.
You know, John
Tiny
always
whiteys or boxers?
John always says, he was from further south than anybody in Indiana to the region. Sanborn, is it true or not? Is Evansville further or Sanborn further
Evansville.
from here?
Sanborn's about an hour and a half north of Evansville.
That's right.
See,
It's by,
so he-
Sanborn's by Bloomington, sort of, right?
Same
Latitude,
north south.
right?
Same. I guess it'd be
Gotcha.
same latitude,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah, so you've got him by an hour and a half.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's travel time? Evansville to Northwest Indiana.
You know, you can make it about 4.5 hours now.
'Cause
Now that
69?
I-69
That's
is
right.
so I can make it to 465 in 2 hours 15 minutes,
Wow.
and then it's probably
Four and a half, 5,
maybe.
yep.
Yeah.
I did that when I was in French Lick because I hate driving the same route all the time. And I was not in a hurry this day, and I left French Lick and I drove north. I ended up taking 41 a long ways. I went through Terre Haute and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I just like exploring,
How many people in Evansville these days? What,
The city itself has 120,000.
Really?
120
And
on the river.
Third largest city in the state
Right.
of Indiana.
And then, the weird thing about Evansville is not weird, but like Evansville is 80% of the county, Vandenberg County, if not more, right? Isn't Evansville mostly the county?
75%. Yeah.
It's sort of like Indianapolis in a way, where Indianapolis is Marion County, but Evansville is There's not a lot of
Evansville, yeah, from a population standpoint,
Right.
Evansville dominates.
right.
Yeah,
But
we're
here's
used
the
to that.
interesting. So we're closer to Tennessee state capital than our own.
Really?
No kidding. How about
Yeah,
that? That's a little
that's
funny
crazy.
fact about Evansville.
But that's how far south we are.
Wow.
And still on Central Time?
Yeah.
That's another funny fact. Is that because Kentucky's on Central Time down that way, or?
Well, Kentucky and Southern Illinois.
Okay.
But Evansville's, it's been isolated for years. That's why people have fought for I-69 for generations, just because of that connectivity to the rest of the state.
It was smart. It was a good thing. We need spokes to all the
absolutely.
city. Right. When you look at Indiana, it's like spokes to all the big areas except for Evansville at the time.
Right.
Evansville had like a bunch of country roads, basically.
You're loving it now.
We've been a stepchild for a long time.
Oh, don't
You're
tell
in Lake
us. I mean,
County,
you're not
baby.
going to get any. You want to feel about being a stepchild.
Well, talk about something else that we have in common.
Right.
Because I
Lake County
know
and-
exactly what you go through.
That's
People, decision makers in Indianapolis, they've ignored Lake County for a long time. And there's so much potential up here, and you're doing great things.
Thank you.
But as you looked at, we try to maximize the economic activity throughout the state of Indiana. But the focus really has to be on making sure cities, right, and metropolitan areas have the tools they need to be successful, because that's where the jobs are being created. That's where the
Spoken
tax
like a-
revenues
spoken like
generate.
a
True
former
mayor.
mayor.
I was gonna say. There
I
it comes
love
out.
this guy. You solidified your vote with me right there.
So maybe the next step is, or next question I've got for you is why AG? Like why do you say, as a mayor or as a former, as you're comfortable at Ivy Tech, you're the chancellor down there in Evansville, things are going great. Why do you jump into the AG's race?
It was tough to sit on the sidelines. After watching the 2016 election and what has transpired over the last 3.5 years, 4 years, I started thinking about an opportunity to get back in elected politics. It's one thing if I had left office losing, then it's kind of like, okay, people have spoken, I need to find a different future, right?
Yep.
But I didn't. I just decided not to run for a third
Yep.
term and actually at that time I was thinking about running for governor in
course,
12.
yeah.
Remember we had those conversations.
Oh, yeah.
And I had 3 kids in middle school, and I thought, I'm going to be miserable.
Not the right time.
I'm going to be miserable.
And
so,
your kids were real young in 2012 too, right?
yeah.
Right. But
so-
one of the things that blessed you is when you left office, like you said, you left on a high note, and you also left with quite a nice buck in your committee to elect Weinzapfel,
right.
which is helping you now, right?
Right,
Because
right.
running for attorney general, especially through the primary, is mostly a self-funded endeavor. If you're either self-funded or you have money.
No
like
primary, right? It's a convention, so you got to.
Well, you still have a primary.
Yeah,
process.
absolutely,
Right.
for sure. And actually, you had to spend money for that
Right,
convention.
yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
we were both delegates. We got those real nice mailers, and they were great.
You have to run a campaign.
Yeah.
It's the difference is that it's a limited universe of maybe 2,400 voters.
Right. Which makes it a lot nicer.
Right, and you know who's voting as opposed to who knows who goes through the polls in a primary, right? You're trying to identify who those people may be, but when you know who you have a delegate list, right?
Yep.
Pretty easy to campaign and talk to those folks. But
So as mayor, did you like being mayor, obviously?
I thought it was a great job.
It is a great
you
job,
you
right?
have a chance to. You have a chance to set an agenda for your community, and for the most part, you have the tools to get things done. And when I talk about my job as mayor, it's a great skill set that I think applies very well to the office of Attorney General, because you have to listen to people, right? You have to make yourself available and accessible. You have to work to build consensus. You have to work across the aisle if you want to get anything done, at least in Evansville.
Oh, yeah.
I think about, we built this $130 million arena in our downtown, which
Ford
has
Center? Still called the Ford
which has
Center?
transformed the entire area. But it wouldn't have gotten done unless Republican business leaders and frankly, Republican elected officials weren't supportive.
Mitch Daniels supported you, if I
Well,
remember correctly.
he ended up signing the legislation
Right.
to make it happen.
So good coalition building.
But
absolutely.
The interesting thing about this, though, is normally a project like that gets done, and the mayor is running the project because it's in the city.
Yeah.
This happened with you, if I remember correctly, in Indianapolis, where the governor said, if we're going to do these projects, then we are the ones that are going
Like
to be
a
in
convention
control.
bureau or whatever it is.
Didn't Evansville have to have that same type of thing? Because I know at the time it was Bart Peterson was the mayor of Indy. And
No, the state didn't step in on this project at all.
oh, they didn't?
No.
Okay, I know they did in Indianapolis. I figured they did the same thing to you, but
But as mayor, you have a track record, right? And you every single day you're held accountable. And frankly, I think that's the kind of leadership that the state of Indiana could use right now.
no doubt about it.
When you look back at the Ford Center project, it's still successful, still a big deal in Evansville.
Absolutely. So what has followed? So when I was mayor, we started loft development, residential opportunities, brought some businesses back to the downtown. But the Ford Center was the key. I mean, that sends a signal to the development community that the city is putting their money where their mouth is, and that they want to see this area of the city succeed. And, so since then, IU School of Medicine has opened a facility in our downtown. There's just been a lot of additional development. And all of a sudden, when I was elected mayor in 2003, you could see the tumbleweeds blowing down Main Street about 5 o'clock in the evening after work. I mean, it's a thriving, dynamic area. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, so that's the impact you can have as mayor. But those are the experiences and the political skills, I think, as I mentioned, I think would benefit the state of Indiana. And I got into this AG's race, one, because I was tired of sitting on the sidelines, but two, watching Curtis Hill. And,
who's the current Attorney General?
Yes, and his sexual assault of 4 women and his efforts to try to find the ACA unconstitutional and take health care away from millions of Hoosiers.
Jump on board, right? He intervened, right? He's one of the...
Indiana is a party to that lawsuit.
Think about that.
And so you watch that and you think to yourself, or I'm thinking to myself, Indiana deserves better than that. And so it's meaningful work, as in the difference you can make, and it also seemed like a political opportunity.
Yeah, I think Indiana voters need to know that, right? Indiana voters need to understand that, like, intervening in a lawsuit that can take away your health care was something that the Attorney General gets to choose to do or not do.
Right.
And there's no competing plan. That's the thing, is like, we just want your health care taken away, and we have no plan to replace your health care once it's taken away.
So I announced in December, and things have changed dramatically since then, right? I mean, so now we're in the middle of a global pandemic. We're in the middle of a racial reconciliation throughout this country, right? And and I have a different opponent than what I thought I initially would have.
Right.
But frankly, the issues don't change, and frankly, there's a little difference between Todd Rokita and Curtis Hill.
There is a little difference.
I saw
they're both to the right of Mike Pence.
Absolutely,
which is
pretty hard to do, but they did it,
and both ethically challenged.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so really the dynamics haven't changed.
I saw a statistic when he was in Congress, Todd Rokita voted with Trump over 90% of the time. So that's his legislative record.
I'm sure he's going to be talking about that.
I'm sure he's proud of it.
He thinks that's a strong selling point in Indiana, I'm sure. One of the things I remember about Todd Rokita, who's a region native, he went to Munster High School. Basically, once he became Secretary of State, he turned his back on Lake County and never came back. I mean, he went down and when he was done being Secretary of State, and most people would move back home to the region. I mean, and there's a sizable Republican population here in Northwest Indiana. And instead of moving back to Munster or back to the region, he moved to the 4th Congressional District and ran for Congress there. And, when I hear Todd talk about the region, he is never positive about the region. He is always negative, and quite frankly, he is a region native. He is a region rat.
That's where he went to school.
He's a Mustang.
My law partner Steve went to high school with him, and I don't want to say what Steve said about him, but
yeah. Interesting. When you become Attorney General, you're going to come out with a 16-point list of things that your driver needs to do when they pick you up. Because Todd Rokita had instructions that they gave to his driver.
When he was congressman.
Crazy stuff like have a cup of coffee waiting for me. Don't suddenly brake or accelerate. Don't talk to the congressman, right? Just crazy,
8 pages.
Instructions.
8 pages. I mean, that came out, I think, when he was running for Senate, maybe.
Right.
He blames Luke Messer, one of his rivals, I guess, in the Republican Party, for leaking it. But it is a funny memo. If anybody wants to see something funny, look up that on Politico. It's crazy.
So to that end, I had my one of my sons drive me at least part of this summer. They came home from college and for spring break, and they never left.
Here they are.
Yeah, right? So I want to give them something constructive to do. But I had 2 rules. One is to be on time, and the second is to wear pants.
That's
nice.
You know what? That's
your 2-point.
Yeah, that's my 2-point plan for my
That's
drive.
a lot less than 8 pages.
That'd give you. Just get a little snapshot of who we're talking about here. Todd Rokita is you have intense instructions on how to properly pick the guy up. Come on, man.
8 pages.
Serious?
And that's what we're dealing with. What do you think why do you think Jonathan Weinzapfel, Attorney General, is going to put Hoosiers in a better spot than a Todd Rokita Attorney General?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's my experience as mayor and bringing that approach to politics and government to the state of Indiana. Accountability, listening to people, getting stuff done, working in a bipartisan fashion. I think with Todd Rokita, if you liked Curtis Hill, you'll probably like Todd Rokita. Because it'll be more of the same. It'll be he will have Indiana immersed in Washington, D.C. politics.
So, Jonathan,
and frankly, I think people are tired of it. Why do we want to bring that toxicity
I agree.
back to Indiana?
Indiana's not like that. Indiana politics
No.
aren't like that. They never. I mean, they are unfortunately become that.
We're getting
but they never were.
It's a lot different. When Jonathan and I'm going to say, when Jonathan was in the State House, I bet you it was a great place to be at that time, because it's toxic now. When I go down to the State House, it's
it was
no
fun. You had to, if you wanted to get anything done, you had to work. Senate. Republicans control the Senate, right? So I mean, you have to build relationships across the aisle, and I had a lot of Republican friends. I sat right behind Tim Brown for one session, and you can't help. You're in the same room, spending hours together. Sometimes nothing's going on, and you can't help but have conversations with people, and you build relationships, and that's what's missing.
That's a good thing.
But that's what's missing in Indiana
I agree.
politics today.
I think part of the problem is the gerrymandering and making it so that you could be an extremist and there's no consequence politically. Like when you go back home, if you're an extremist, sometimes you get rewarded.
I mean,
for
what's
it.
the House now? Is it
79-21?
79-21?
It's ridiculous. I mean, we were in charge of the House, back in the day. We had
Not even
Speaker of
that
the
long
House.
ago.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were in the House, we were in charge.
Pat Bauer, Speaker of the House, when I took over.
Tom, I agree with you about redistricting and gerrymandering. I think that's the biggest. It's had the biggest negative impact on our politics nationwide.
For sure.
So if you're whether Democrat or Republican, all you have to do is your whole focus is worrying about someone coming from your left or right flank. That means there is no incentive for you to work towards the middle.
Absolutely.
And that's where things get done. That's where good policy is made, right?
It's in the middle, absolutely.
The
more partisan we are, the less gets done.
Absolutely. And if you don't care about, so if it's a good thing for you to oppose every single thing that Donald Trump stands for, or every single thing that Barack Obama stands for, you'll never find common ground. And I think we all suffer as a result.
And if you're drawn in a district where you can do that safely,
right.
then it just
you're
promotes it.
You're incentivized
Absolutely.
to do it because if you're thinking about your political survival,
So, Jonathan, what do you do when you take office? Day one, you walk in, you're sworn in, you walk in.
We pull Indiana out of the ACA lawsuit,
which is great.
Like it.
And at that point,
meaning Hoosiers could keep their health insurance if they have it.
Well, the Supreme Court will already have heard oral argument
November.
on it. Yeah, so it might be at that point might be symbolic, if nothing else. But I think it's important to send the message to the court that this is purely just a political partisan exercise, right? To try to find the ACA unconstitutional. One of the other things we want to tackle right away there is, I'm sure you've heard the news about some of the virtual charter schools and how they basically artificially inflated enrollment and ended up scamming the state about $68 million.
A lot of money.
Yeah. I've heard absolutely nothing from
You're right.
from Curtis Hill or the Holcomb administration about what they're going to do about it. So on day one, that's something else I will pursue and making sure that we're claw back. We're going to get that money back and refer for criminal prosecution if warranted.
And you have investigative ability to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Through the Attorney General.
Absolutely. It's a violation of a state contract, right? So yes, I obviously have the ability to do that. Something I want to try to tackle for some of our friends in the building trades is how there's a lot of tax fraud that goes on. You have contractors, typically non-union, who employ folks as 1099s as independent contractors,
big
right?
deal for the unions. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And these are folks that, so one, these are workers that aren't paid what they deserve. But second, you have employers who aren't paying taxes on it. And it creates a competitive advantage for them that shouldn't exist, right? No one should be able to violate the law to create a competitive advantage for yourself.
It's helping them as employers and it's hurting their employees.
Absolutely. So that's something else that I think the law's in place. It's something I can tackle on day one.
Which unions have endorsed you? Building trades?
State building trades,
Nice.
ISTA, AFL-CIO,
Teachers,
individual
unions.
locals. The Northwest Indiana Building Trade Council is endorsed.
Good.
So we have full support of organized labor throughout the state of Indiana.
Firemen, I love firemen.
Yes, in fact, going through and talking to all the firefighters, locals, and having a great conversation.
I imagine as a former mayor, you're going to have a good relationship with these people.
Well, I've been in their shoes. I mean, I've managed a fire department, right? You know what it's like, and you know the impact that the state can have when they put a stranglehold on local government, and it affects their ability to do their jobs or provide for their families. And so I think it's important for someone who has that perspective to have a leadership role in state government.
Yeah, that's great.
One of the things I was wondering about is like staff-wise. How big is the Attorney General's office?
Oh gosh, I think it's a budget of roughly about 68 to 70 million.
And lawyers,
And
dozens
I want
of
to say
lawyers.
160.
No
I
kidding.
I was going to say a couple hundred.
160.
Yeah.
I've been told it would be the third largest. It would be the third largest law firm in the state of Indiana.
Really?
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Finally, you're going to be managing partner of a 160 lawyer firm.
And you worked for Fagery for a couple of years. We didn't cover that. Fagery Baker, which is one of my well, it's a
Fagery Drinker now.
Fagery Drinker.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They changed their name
Right,
again.
right.
Was it Baker and Daniels when you were there,
was
or were they
Baker
Fagery
Daniels.
already?
No, when I joined, they had just transitioned to Fagery.
Right. So you know Joe Larry Smith. Well,
Oh yeah,
obviously.
of course. Yeah, of
He's,
course.
I
Great
love,
people.
I love Joe Smith.
A lot of good people at Fagery. Scott Chen and those folks.
Oh yeah, they do
Yeah.
a lot of our work.
He did a lot of work for me when I was mayor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good people there.
Scott
so.
Chen. That's right.
Yep,
Yeah.
fighting the EPA.
That's right.
He helped us.
I tell you what, they did some great work.
Yeah. No, we fought them for years, and we finally signed our consent decree 2 years ago, I think, and we're still being sort of haggled over. But
Well, he did the same for us.
Mm-hmm.
I helped negotiate a consent decree, and frankly, we made the Department of Justice come in and prove their case,
Mm-hmm.
and of course they're before a local magistrate in Evansville,
Yep.
Yeah.
who this person doesn't want to see rates increase.
I mean,
and
you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh,
over
absolutely,
years. Yeah.
absolutely. In fact, according to what they were telling us, I mean, we ended up getting, I think, one of the better consent decrees. And
Yeah, I mean, Scott used I think Scott used the model he used in Evansville to help us.
Right.
And it was
He told us we got a good deal too. He said it was better than Evansville. I remember him saying something. Like
one of
that.
the interesting things
because of what he learned.
Of
in
course.
Evansville,
That's
yeah,
right,
of
that's
course.
right.
I think one of the neat things that I just heard is, you got two Democratic mayors. You think, oh, we love the EPA. They're great. But I think, you guys both know the EPA can be real rough on cities and real rough, and you experience that because usually you think like, oh, Democrats are for the EPA, and I'm not saying you're against them.
We're for the environment and
That's
clean
right.
air,
I
clean
think that's the
water.
deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think we both understand, you have to have rules in place and you have to enforce those rules with bad actors, but ultimately the goal is to see compliance, right? Mm-hmm. And, it's easier to do that with the carrot than a stick, but you have to have that stick available in case people aren't willing to, step up. But in our case, we want to get there to a consent decree. We have to do something that's reasonable, right? Mm-hmm. That taxpayers and ratepayers can afford, that makes sense financially, that actually has to eliminate every single overflow.
And that's the same thing, right?
It's
right?
kind of,
same thing you had to deal with.
I mean, so to go from 3 overflows per year to zero,
That's ridiculous.
it might cost you $200 million, and
Right.
you have
go
to ask
from
the question:
3 a year to
Does
zero.
that make sense?
Right, it doesn't make sense. It's crazy.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you're in basically a mad sprint from here till November 3rd. What's the plan, and what can we expect to see or hear from you?
Well, we started on TV in Indianapolis a week ago Wednesday.
Congrats.
Started
That's not cheap.
South Bend and Fort Wayne yesterday. We should be on cable here in the region starting yesterday.
I'll tell you when I see it.
Okay, and then we'll be statewide the following week.
Good for you.
Great.
I know the Democratic attorney generals are pushing you real hard.
Well, so they've already purchased about $1.4 million worth of airtime statewide to support the
Congratulations.
candidacy and an independent expenditure. So I don't know what they're going to do.
That's right. That we were right.
There's
right.
no
We've been
coordination.
there. We've
So,
been there.
But we know what they've spent because you can tell. I mean, it's public record.
Right.
Well, that must mean they know it's a race. They know it's a good race.
Well, the Cook Political Report had just reaffirmed a week ago that they consider the race a toss-up.
Really?
Congratulations on
Yeah,
that.
so we're in the game.
Yeah,
I
for
mean, this
sure.
is winnable, and like many races, it's going to be impacted by what happens over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah. So for folks out there that want to get involved and want to help, how can they do it?
Weinzapfelforag.com.
Yeah.
Spell that last name again.
WEINZAPFELFORAG.
That's
Nice.
it. Why is
And
that
you can
before
make donations through
AG.com?
that.
You can make donations. You can sign up to volunteer.
Get
We
yard
have
What about
signs.
yard signs?
What's that?
You have yard signs, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, I need one.
Okay.
Yeah, people look.
He's getting us some.
In
Well,
fact, if you give me, a couple dozen,
I think we had some dropped off here.
Not yet. They're coming.
Okay.
I
I'll
hope.
make sure they're put in prominent locations. Good people. Okay. Let me ask you a question. I was on the primary ballot, and in Lake County and across Indiana, mail-in voting in the primary ballot was allowable because of the pandemic.
Right.
And here we are, 6 months later, and 5 months later, and it's not allowed per Governor Eric Holcomb. What's your position on this whole issue? And it doesn't make sense that no excuse primary balloting was allowable in the primary, but now.
I mean, the pandemic has only gotten worse, right? In fact, I think Indiana has seen an increasing infection rate. Maybe like, I may misspeak, but I want to say fourth largest in the country. I mean, it's accelerating once again. People shouldn't have to choose between their personal health and exercising their constitutional right to vote.
That's right.
Right? I mean, and so what you have is, you have a lot of people looking to vote absentee anyway. And, so what's the election commission going to do? They're going to challenge them because they don't fit one of those excuses, or, they're not 65. Why go there? Why not just make sure that everybody has that chance to vote?
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
and keep their health.
That's right. And in Lake County, early voting starts next week. So just remember, in-person early voting. If you want to vote in person early, you can do that all around Lake County. Obviously, you can still apply if you've qualified for a mail-in ballot, and then you can always vote on Election Day. So.
And to get a ballot in Indiana, you have to request a ballot. It's not
Correct.
like, I know that there are some states that are sending out ballots, and you can fill it out and send it back in. I forgot what the term was for that. But in Lake County, you have to send a request in, and then they send the ballot back, and then you send the ballot in.
That's correct.
Right. So, I don't see...
You can request online, but what were you saying, Mayor? I'm sorry.
No, I just don't see, I know some states are just sending out sample ballots, basically, and I understand the fear with that you're flooding the market with ballots, but when you specifically request a ballot because you're nervous about showing up, I just think it's ridiculous.
I'm really comfortable with the way Indiana does it that way. I'm not saying that I'd love to have more people be able to, but...
And there's zero evidence of fraud.
I
right?
agree with that.
I mean, it's safe. It's something that's been in place, and to suggest that there's fraudulent activity is basically to attack every county clerk in the state of Indiana, right?
Both Republican and Democrat.
And to say that they're not going to be following the law. I mean, but that's what we're hearing from Todd Rokita, and that's what you're hearing from
all the way up to the top.
So, I mean, obviously, the people that are pushing against this are worried about how many people would actually vote, and if too many people vote, then we may not be able to win our offices statewide.
Heaven forbid that people have a chance.
I know, right? Yeah, we don't want to make it easy to vote
and not be afraid to vote. That's right.
right.
So. Well, I want to thank you, Jonathan, for coming on. It was real exciting. We
don't
get a lot of guys from Evansville up here, so we appreciate you making the trip.
Here. And after you get elected Attorney General, make sure you stop back, and
I'd love to.
Within the first couple of weeks, we'll get you back on the air, and we'll talk about what you're doing. And
hopefully we have a chance to do a victory lap, and
that'd be great.
We'll make sure we're back up here.
Jonathan, you're doing a heck of a job. You really are.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, you're making all the Democrats across the state proud because you're working real hard and you're taking it very seriously, and you're taking it 10 times more seriously than your opponent. And I think that shows what kind of Attorney General you'll be. I think you're going to be great.
Thank you.
I've known this man for 20 years. He's a great person. He's smart. He cares about what Hoosiers care about. And
he's going to make a great Attorney General.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, thanks for coming on Left to Center. Welcome. And Kristen, it's great to see you again. And, we miss Lindsay today. I want to thank John Vesmar, who's the silent man behind the controls, who's always doing a great job for us. Thank you very much, Mr. Vesmar.
Good work, John.
Yeah.
You kept us up and running.
Of course, to my co-host, Kevin.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks.
We're going to go off like we came on NPR.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, everybody have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.